Okay, so in this video, we are working with Sully, who's a 3-year-old gelding. Sully came in 2 weeks previously to filming this video. The owner had rescued him and was having some difficulty with him on the ground, wanting to pull away and rear up and get generally worried about things at times. Also, one of the problems as a result of this was that she was struggling to load him. So he's gone through the same process that we did with the last trailer loading video with the yearling, going through those 4 basic groundwork exercises, and he's had 2 weeks of that, so that we've now got that really established, and we're tackling here the trailer for the first time. So he's come straight from his box, and all I've done here is I've taken him straight up to the trailer and just to see how he was going to respond. And you'll see that he's kind of stood halfway on the trailer, but that's sort of as far as he's prepared to go right now. And he's looking around, and each time he's looking around here, I'm just trying to motivate him to think about loading. I'm not trying to get him all the way in the trailer. I'm just trying to encourage him to stop thinking about not loading and start to get him to think about loading. So I'm using my flag here to bring him forwards, and any time that he starts to change his disposition and act like he's thinking about loading, you'll see me get really still and leave him alone. So there he steps forwards, and my flag gets still, and I'll leave him alone, allowing him to reach into the trailer, have a sniff, have a step around, and see what he wants to do. You see, at the moment, everything about him is thinking about not loading. He's wanting to move over to the side of the trailer. You'll see he's kind of coming on from the side, and that's because he's probably had some experience at some point of running around to the side of the trailer and finding some relief and finding some comfort. Well, I'd like him to find comfort every time he walks towards the trailer. Everything I've done with this horse has been about trying to build his confidence and build his understanding of me and what I want from him. See, again there, he's sort of come in a little bit further, but I'm not in a rush to get him loaded. I'm allowing him to take his time, and I'm allowing him to follow into the trailer. With all these clips with the loading, the rest time that I'm spending in the trailer is not represented fully in this video. I've cut the rest times out to avoid, so you're not staring at a horse stood in a trailer for 2 minutes. But when we edited this video, it was twice as long. So we can, on that basis, the amount of time this horse spent resting was equal to the amount of time that he spent loading. I want to make sure that when he's in, he can stand there for at least a minute or 2 minutes, or as long as he's prepared to stand in there for, and really relax and get comfortable. I'm then going to bring him out and repeat the process. Again, you're seeing a lot of evasion here, a lot of try to get out of loading, and I try not to change emotionally. When I'm doing this, all I'm watching is the feet, and I'm trying to gauge anytime he's preparing to load, anytime those feet start to kind of act in a way that looks like he's going to be loading, I'm taking that time there to allow him to get comfortable and make sure that he's always rewarded for good behavior. In terms of equipment, you'll see that I'm using a long lead rope, and I'm using my flag. This horse has spent 2 weeks, like I said, with me. He's really good with the flag. He understands how to move off the flag. But one of the things I see that causes horses to rear up is that, you know, we're always putting pressure on the halter and pulling them forwards. And because we're putting pressure on with the halter, the horse starts to fight that. So you'll see I use a little bit of pressure on his halter, but I'm trying to use that flag there to bring him forward. So it's the flag that drives the feet forward, not necessarily the leading. I'm just trying to keep a little pressure on that halter to steer him and encourage him forward. And again, a little bit with the flag there to get him to move forward and off that pressure. You see he's gone back a couple of stages there where he sort of lost his confidence again and decided he was going to act out. And all I did was just go back to the start, rebuild from the foundation I put in on that first time, just casually waiting for him to step forward. And as soon as he steps forward, leaving him alone. Letting him stand here in the trailer, giving him a good rub and letting him be. I suggest if you're watching this video for the first time, you haven't already watched the philosophy video that I did and the preparation video that I did, you watch those first. You know, when we're talking about philosophy, I always start from the point of view that I wouldn't understand why a horse would want to load into a trailer, given the type of environment it is, and given the fact that he is going to feel trapped and bothered and isolated. By doing this, I sort of have the attitude that we're on the same team, and my focus isn't to get him loaded in the trailer, but to get him confident in the process of being loaded into a trailer. Confidence is going to be key. If he's not confident, if he's scared, I probably don't want him to be in the trailer anyway. So it'd be a good idea to have a look at that philosophy video, have a look at the preparation video and the exercises that go into it. A famous horseman, Buck Brannaman, once said, if leading wasn't a problem, then loading wouldn't be a problem. And I think this is really true. Certainly if groundwork wasn't a problem, then loading wouldn't be a problem. This horse had 2 weeks of halter training, 2 weeks of groundwork training. We spent time working him over obstacles. We spent time helping him understand how to move around us and direct us. I've spent time trying to get him to relax and calm, grazing him away from the other horses and trying to improve some of the anxiety that he has. We're now able to see the fruits of all that work, so that when we attack a problem like the trailer, you know, where he's had issues before, where he's become unloadable at times, or at times where it's taken up to 3 to 4 hours to load him, we're now able to, in a short space of time, get him to where he's a lot more comfortable being loaded. My focus in today's loading session is really just to get him to where he's loading a little bit more consistently. It isn't to get him to a finished article where, you know, he's running in there and standing still. It's really just to see if I can, you know, get him to kind of come in consistently where I'm not using my flag so much, where I'm not having to encourage him so much, and where he's what we call finding the trailer. I do a lot of work with them where I bring them in, back them up, and then I bring them in. People sometimes say to me, why do you prefer to back them out of the trailer rather than being forward? And I don't really have a preference to backing them out of the trailer, but what I find is a lot of times these horses might become a little bit concerned about loading because they don't know how they're going to get out of there. Whereas if they get really kind of good at going forwards and going backwards, it puts their mind at rest that they're not trapped. They're comfortable with the process of being backed out, and they know that if the worst came to the worst, this isn't the last place that they're going to be. So whilst I'll sometimes bring my horses forward out of the trailer, I always want to be able to teach them to back out. For their own peace of mind, for their own confidence, I think this is important. You'll see now that I've dropped the flag and I'm just using the lead rope, trying to get him to where he's not relying on that flag so much. He's following the feel of that lead rope. And although it's not perfect, he's a lot straighter with his loading and it's getting a little less resistant. I'm pleased with where he's finished there for today. And tomorrow we'll work a little bit more on his loading, getting him a little bit more confident. With this video, what I wanted to get was an overview of what I would do and how I would do it, how we build from that preparation stage and how that applies to a horse that's been previously difficult to load.